Right now at 10, a miracle on Maui.
The last 17 days of my life have been the toughest days of my life. And it's been a really significant spiritual journey that I was guided on.
How hiker Amanda Eller survived, lost, and alone.
These sorts of events are very, very rare.
A visitor is dead after a shark encounter in waters off the Valley Isle. The final graduation for an Oahu school closing its doors after 95 years.
And another round of record heat today, even with the stronger trade winds. Your holiday forecast is coming up soon.
From across the islands on KGMB and KHNL, this is your source for breaking news. Hawaii News Now at 10.
First tonight, a hiker's amazing story of survival. Amanda Eller spent 17 days lost and hurt in a Maui forest until rescuers found her trapped between two waterfalls deep in a ravine. The 35-year-old remains in the hospital tonight, recovering from her injuries. She posted an emotional message expressing her gratitude for the tireless efforts to find her. Steve Uehara has our top story.
Lisa, Eller's doctor says she's doing amazingly well and that you'd never be able to tell what she went through just by looking at her. Now, she does have a fractured tibia and a skin infection on her legs, but as Eller mentioned on Facebook today, there were times she thought it was going to be much worse.
There were times of total fear and loss and wanting to give up, and it did come down to life and death, and I had to choose. And I chose life. I wasn't going to take the easy way out. Even though that meant more suffering and pain for myself.
Because she powered through, Eller will be in the hospital for just a few more days. Her doctor says she's doing well because she stayed hydrated on river water and ate fresh fruit to stay nourished.
It's just a miracle. Our daughter has come home to us and in a wonderful condition.
Eller's mom, Julia, is all smiles now, but coming back from the search empty-handed day after day, that took its toll.
I'm only human like anyone else, but I felt in my heart that my daughter was alive and that I could not give up hope.
And to think this all started with a 3-mile walk, nothing overly strenuous for someone as active as Eller.
She sat down and rested on a fallen log, I guess kind of meditated and took a little nap, and when she got up she was disoriented about where she was and just followed her instincts trying to get back to her car.
She kept walking and eventually she was lost. To make things worse, she lost her shoes when the area flooded. Then, after more than 2 weeks on her own, she couldn't go any further.
Honestly, she had gotten to a point that there was no road left for her to go, and the only way was down a 20-foot waterfall, and that would have been the undoing, honestly. She was at a crossroads juncture, and she felt compelled to stay right there.
No one gave up. In fact, just yesterday, Eller's mom was learning to rappel so that she could help with the search. And finally, the rescue helicopter spotted her.
We did a double take. It was like, and out of the woodwork, she comes out, arms swinging. We're like, there she is. I mean, I know Amanda very well, so I was like, that's Amanda Eller. And in that split second, I was like, Amanda, how's she dressed? Oh my God, she's not wearing shoes. We gotta land this thing. Chris is like, don't jump out of the helicopter.
Julia says they stayed up all night, talking, crying, hugging. One thing they have not discussed, though, is when Eller might be back hiking.
I don't think it's going to be soon. It definitely, I think she's had enough of Makawao Forest for just a little bit.
While Eller herself didn't speak much today, she and her family repeatedly thanked everyone who helped. The $77,000 raised on GoFundMe helped to pay for the private helicopter used to find her, flying in family and friends to help, and other expenses.
I have the most gratitude and respect and appreciation. I can't even put it into words for the people that have helped me, for the people that have prayed for me, for the people that were at base camp, for the people all over the world that somehow just wanted to be a part of this for the greater good outside of themselves. So much love and respect.
For Hawaii News Now, I'm Steve Uehara.
And dozens of volunteers dedicated their time and made sacrifices to look for Eller. One of the search team leaders even ended up losing his job.
And when the father of a missing girl comes and asks you to stay and help, I don't know how you could say no to that. So I asked my employer if I could have the time off, and he didn't seem to think that was so much of a priority. So that was an easy decision. I decided to stay here and help, and it was the best thing I ever could have done.
Everybody was all saying, "We found her, we found her, we found her," and it was just awesome because we had already been in our flight for 1 hour and 40 minutes, and we only had 10 more minutes left, and we were running out of fuel.
Today, the volunteers held a celebration before dismantling their base camp in the parking lot at the Makawao Forest Reserve. And we have much more on this remarkable story on our website, including our past stories and a timeline of Eller's rescue. Also, connect with us on Facebook and find today's entire news conference. Just search Hawaii News Now. A vacation turned into a nightmare for a family vacationing on Maui. Authorities say a 65-year-old California man died after he was bitten by a shark off Ka'anapali. Our Chelsea Davis spoke to witnesses and has more from West Maui.
Yeah, Lisa, we're out in front of the Aston Ka'anapali Shores Resort where a DLNR officer was out here all day warning people, making sure no one got into the water. There's also warning signs up all along the shoreline here at Ka'anapali Beach, half-mile in each direction. And all day today, 2 DLNR officers were out on the water canvassing the area, making sure that shark was nowhere in sight. A bouquet of flowers sits next to a shark-sighted sign on Ka'anapali Beach, where a 65-year-old man was brought to shore after being bitten Saturday morning. Bystanders on the beach watched in horror.
It was really traumatic to see.
Authorities say the man was swimming about 60 yards from shore near the Ka'anapali Shores Resort. First responders went out with a jet ski and performed CPR, but couldn't revive him.
They pulled the man up. He looked unconscious when they transferred him to the other gurney, and we could see that they were trying to do CPR on him. But as we got closer, I saw some blood on his stomach, and then I got looking a little bit more, and his wrist, it looked like the skin on his wrist was just torn off. And then I got looking closer, and his entire left leg from his knee down was just missing. It looked like there was no blood or anything.
According to authorities, the 65-year-old is a California resident. Keller says he was vacationing on Maui with his wife.
As we were watching the man get pulled up, we could hear her screaming. She was saying, "That's my husband, that's my husband."
Shark experts say Hawaii comes in distant second for shark bites in the U.S. after Florida. They say Maui is the hot spot in the state for tiger shark bites, but without more information, it's tough to say what kind of shark was involved.
The bite radius and the tooth pattern, and sometimes a tooth fragment is left in the victim, like in the bone or something. And so a tooth fragment is the surest way, but also the bite radius, if it's a very big bite radius, then it rules out a lot of the other species of sharks, like Galapagos shark. Tiger shark, of course, is the number one that comes to my mind for a fatal attack.
Authorities have not released the man's identity yet. We do know that these warning signs will be up at least until noon tomorrow. Reporting from Ka'anapali Beach, I'm Chelsea Davis for Hawaii News Now.
The last deadly shark bite was a little more than 4 years ago, also in Maui waters. Margot Cruz was snorkeling about 200 yards off Makena's Ahihi Bay at Kanahena Point at the time. The 65-year-old Kihei woman was bitten on her right arm, her neck, and face. And today's shark incident was the 6th this year. So far, there have been 3 bites in waters off Oahu, 1 in waters near Waikoloa on the Big Island, and 1 off Hanalei Bay on Kauai. Today's bite off Maui is the first for the island this year. Our coverage continues online at hawaiinewsnow.com. Another visitor has died in Hawaii waters, this time on Kauai. Authorities identified the victim as Washington Bennett IV of Utah. Yesterday, the 70-year-old was bodyboarding off Waiokapua Bay, also known as Majors Bay. He was found unresponsive in the shore break. Bystanders pulled him from the water and performed CPR until emergency crews from the Pacific Missile Range facility, firefighters, and paramedics arrived. He was taken to the Kauai Veterans Memorial Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Grief counselors are assisting his family. Also on Kauai, a whale carcass has washed onto Kealia Beach. State and county authorities have responded. Right now, authorities have shut down the area as a precaution. Warning signs are up and lifeguards are monitoring the water. The beach will stay closed until at least tomorrow morning. And on the Big Island, a family escaped a fire that destroyed their home on Sandalwood Court in Pahoa just before 2 this afternoon. It caused more than $185,000 in damage. No word on how it started, but firefighters have found live wires in front of the house. A wildfire has reignited in central Oahu tonight. It is 75% contained. More than a dozen firefighters responded to the blaze off Kaukonahua Road just after 11 this morning. HFD, along with helicopters from the state and Army, conducted water drops. On Wednesday, crews contained the fire, which scorched 550 acres. Tomorrow they'll reassess, but they tell us changing winds may have fanned a hot spot, causing it to burn more than 40 acres. There was a boost in the winds today, plus more record heat. For more on those gusts, let's check in with meteorologist Jennifer Robbins. Jen.
And Lisa, looking at the winds right now, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour. As far as gusts, about 25 miles per hour in some of those downsloping spots. And riding in over those trade winds, we do have just a few windward and Mauka showers as we go into the overnight hours. Taking a closer look, the trade winds tonight, anywhere from 10 to 20, and those downsloping gusts will be creating gusts about 25 miles per hour. Temperatures slowly cooling down after the record heat, 75 to 79 degrees. You can see that across the board as we go city by city. We're not seeing a whole lot of rain out there, but it was hot earlier today. We're talking about those records you can see at the airport, 91 degrees today, tying a record over in Lihue, and a new record, Kahului, at 93. Coming up in a little bit, I'll have the rest of your holiday forecast.
Thank you so much, Jen. The students in the final graduating class of St. Francis School have turned their tassels. Tonight, 69 seniors sang their hearts out to bid farewell to the 95-year-old school. They crossed the stage at the Blaisdell Concert Hall to accept their diplomas. The school is shutting down due to financial struggles. Justin Loy is the school's last valedictorian, the second boy in the school's history with that honor. Congratulations to all the graduates.